Hi, this is Lauren with Verivest, and today we are speaking with Tim O'Brien from Urban Asset Advisors. Welcome. We're really excited to speak with you.
Good to meet you, and good to be speaking with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to kick off and just hear about your origin story and tell us a little bit of how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, you bet. I've got started in real estate. I like to say at a very young age. My favorite activity, pastime as a kid, was actually building cities and playing Hot Wheels in my sandbox and in my basement. So
Right.
I think it might have started then, and then my parents bought a couple rentals when I was in my kind of early days, and then just fell in love with that process of, buying a piece of real estate, improving it, seeing that kind of satisfaction of improving it. And so in 1996, I decided to get out of the advertising world and joined Marcus and Millichap, a large brokerage company nationally.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, exciting. What was kind of your first project there in the late 90s?
Late 90s, well, being a broker, we were just trying to, I've always loved apartments, something about apartments.
Mhm. Yeah.
Where people live has always attracted me. So, selling a little sixplex for my very first client and then a 32 unit. And uh, 3 years later, I started my own brokerage company and brokered about $1 billion between my partners and I over the next, was it 14 years. And then in 2013, I launched Urban Asset Advisors to do ground up development investment.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that was really inspired by a development project that we started when I was at that company. And I fell in love with it, the ground up development especially. And my partners decided they wanted to do more brokerage and I wanted to do more development. So they bought me out, and the rest is history.
Oh, wow. That's great. So tell me a little bit of how you source deal flow. What is your acquisition strategy?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, it's two pronged as far as the acquisition strategy. We look for land for ground up development. So, for instance, we're doing a project in Bend, Oregon. We're doing one here in Portland, Oregon. And how we find those, the land, and actually we buy existing apartment buildings too, is deep connections within the brokerage community, or we work with partners in other markets where we may not be the local experts or knowledge like we are here, in Oregon. So, and just being really respectful of brokers and folks that bring us deals. We always take good care of them, make sure they earn their fees, make sure they get the round trip and get to sell it for us when we exit. And they tend to bring us a lot of deals that way. So we see a lot of deals, a lot of people, other people don't. The other thing is we perform on our deals. When we put something in contract, we close on it. And brokers and owners know that. So they will typically pick us from a group of folks if they know who we are and have done their homework.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've mentioned a little bit about working specifically in Oregon, but what would you say are your key markets that you operate in, and why do you select those markets?
Yeah, we look for markets uh, that have good growth potential. So we always look at the metrics of population growth, job growth, and then we relate that. That's basically the demand side of the equation for housing, which is what we focus on, specifically apartments. And then the supply side, we go in and look at the pipeline and how many units are in the market, have rents been going up dramatically, what are the growth potentials, and then we'll either apply a development strategy to that, or we'll apply an acquisition strategy, which is typically a discount to replacement cost. So if it costs us 300,000 a unit to build something, and we can go buy it for 175,000 a unit or 150,000 a unit, whatever it might be, we always feel very good about that. And then some markets will do both. A lot of times we'll enter a market with a acquisition strategy, get to know the market intimately, and then move that to a development strategy too. So
Yeah, absolutely. So primarily you're in the Pacific Northwest area that you have your properties and projects.
that's right. Yeah. So Oregon, definitely we've done projects all over the state. Um,
Yeah.
Mostly acquisition around the state, and then development limited to Bend and Portland. And then Boise, for instance, is a market we visited, got to know the players. We haven't bought an asset there yet,
Mhm.
um, but we're looking for one actually. We're looking for some projects right now.
Yeah.
Um, And then just depend, Spokane is another market we've looked at pretty carefully, also Salt Lake City. So we're going to looking for growth markets, West Coast, yeah, and trying to grow responsibly. You can only absorb a market and really go and get deep in a market. Takes some time, so we really try to be choosy about,
Yeah.
really seeing the potential in those markets.
Right. Yeah. And there's a ton of potential as well in Idaho. It's shocking to see kind of the rate that it's grown since 2020 as well too. Just really a great market to start investing in and building projects.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's they've seen unprecedented growth and the quality of life. I mean, it's an amazing. I mean, yeah, Idaho in general, Boise specifically, they've really done a nice job with their urban core and just the
Yeah.
way they're growing, infrastructure. Yeah, things our tenants love,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
restaurants,
Absolutely.
bars. Good. I like to say good energy, right? That city just has a great energy to it.
Right. Right. Which is great. So tell me a little bit of your investment philosophy. How do you determine whether a deal is worth doing or not?
Yeah, no, good question. Obviously it's got to produce a return. It also has to meet our standards of quality. I mean, we want to make sure we're doing projects that we feel good about. And that's what we're known for. I mean, our development projects are known as some of the highest quality executions here in the city. Um, and then even on our value add deals where we go buy like a 1960s or 70s apartment and we go in and, we do a very nice job on the finishes. And we really focus on the quality of the asset and then also creating a community and really taking care of those tenants. I mean, ultimately, we have two customers. We have our investors and we have our tenants that occupy our buildings. So we want to take care of both extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then tell me how you generate value once you've made the investment. What's your risk mitigation strategy that you really put forward?
Yeah, I mean, the value creation, on an acquisition versus development, two different stories, right? So acquisition is really buying the asset right. We've done enough transactional volume in the apartments to kind of know how to buy it right. So that's kind of what I call the capital preservation side of it, right? Like, don't buy it wrong is rule number one.
Yeah.
And then we just go and what is there that we can kind of create value through? And more often than not, a lot of it's just on the profit and loss statement, just going in and really managing it better. And, then the other side of it is, you've got add value. So we'll go in and improve the exterior of the property, the landscape, the interiors, whatever might need to be tuned up on that side of it to just create happy tenants who are willing to pay us higher rents.
Yeah.
And then on the development side, it's really about picking the location and really identifying what we can do with that asset on the rent side. Because development, while very complex, the numbers are very simple. It's what did the project cost you and what is the income it's going to generate, right? And so making sure those two pieces align properly to be able to create the kind of returns that we want to deliver to the investor and that actually makes sense for the tenants too. They're happy to pay that rent because we're delivering something that is valuable to them.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to move forward. So, lastly, I'd love to hear who the key players involved that allow you to execute your acquisition and asset management strategy. Excuse me.
Yeah, you bet. We've developed a pretty strong team over the years. So, between, we have Perkins and Company, who is our CPA. They run all the numbers. We have a senior accounting manager in-house that helps coordinate with our CPA and make sure the assets are running properly. Having really strong asset management, actually, because that's kind of on the sponsor side, I think, where the rubber meets the road, and everybody's definition of asset management, I find, is funny when I ask this question. Like, everybody has a different version of what asset management means, but
Right.
for us, it means like really being in touch with the teams on the ground that are running the assets on a day-to-day basis. And just being there as a resource to back them up and also being there to guide what we see as the vision for the project to accomplish the objectives for the tenants and for our investors. And for ourselves, of course. We're as a good sponsor should be, we get compensated when the project's successful. So we want to make sure we deliver that value proposition
Yeah.
and get paid ourselves too.
Yes, Absolutely. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for speaking with us today. It was really great to hear more about Urban Asset Advisors, and we really look forward to working together.
It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to working with you as well. Take care.
Perfect. Thank you.